I don't want to be upstaged by a plant. Don't mind being upstaged by Christina, but a plant. Okay, kia ora everybody. When I moved home, my family gave me a piece of land in the Avena foothills. You may know how it feels when you finally secure a piece of land. It represents a place to put down roots, a place to raise a family, grow food, grow old, and eventually a place to pass on to the next generation. So my piece of land, my section, was densely covered in bush. Mostly African tulips, beautiful but invasive, veni, and 2-story high oak. It was so densely covered, we didn't know what we had. We couldn't see the shape of the land at all. So my little family, Andy, myself, and my 2 little boys, got our hand saws and our machete, and we cleared that section. So once it was cleared, it was apparent that what we had was a very steep slope. No flat land, a steep slope. That's all right, I'm from Wellington, I can handle hills. Okay. So we were going to stabilise the slope. Stabilising the slope means bringing in diggers, trucks, and building retaining walls. Now, it's expensive. And I didn't really like the idea of covering my slice of paradise in concrete. Fortunately, we had an alternative, the Vetiver system. Vetiver is a tropical grass, and it is also a Swiss Army knife. So, let me introduce you to my very cool friend here. The leaves are long, thin blades, and they grow up to 2 meters tall, so much taller than my hand. You can keep it really low, 30 centimeters, nice and tidy if you prefer. The strong, fine, fibrous roots grow 3 meters down at least into the soil. So if you imagine that this is 2 meters, you can double that. It's non-invasive, there are no runners, no viable seeds. You can see some seeds up there, but they don't produce any babies. It stays where you plant it, it doesn't spread. It's fast growing, easy to maintain, it has no pests or diseases. It's perennial, endlessly regenerating, lasting forever. Vetiver grows in all soil types, compact, so that's your cut slopes, sandy, so that's your coastal areas, dry, waterlogged. It can even grow on water, on pontoons. It's flood resistant. It can survive submerged for up to 6 months. It's drought resistant thanks to those amazing roots that go so deep and access water that no other plant can. It's salt resistant, so again, perfect for our coastal areas. And it's fireproof, which I have tested out myself accidentally by putting those burning piles too close to lines of vetiver. Sorry, Andy. 4 weeks later, you couldn't tell the difference. Okay, so back to my stabilising my very steep slope. Rather than bringing in the dozers and building a wall brick by brick, we planted and let the wall build itself. So I shall demonstrate. Now bear in mind, I'm a child of the 80s, so I'm all about the footloose and the flash dance and the fame. So just watch these jazz hands. Okay. We plant the grass in hedgerows. Not just 1 or 2 grasses, but lots of grasses. They need to be planted close together, really close together, so that they overlap. The idea is that as they grow, both the leaves and the roots grow and weave together to form a continuous wall both below and above the ground. The hedgerows are planted level along the slope, ideally following the shape of the land, the contour, and down the slope they're planted at intervals. The result is a set of reinforcing walls, a half a metre thick, that goes 3 metres deep and gets stronger over time. Okay, you can clap. So, yay, I finally got my hedgerows in and they are stabilising my slope. It's fantastic, but that's not all. They are also protecting me from the impacts of climate change. So, how does climate change affect me? Well, it's mostly rain. Some drought, but mostly those massive tropical downpours. We experienced them yesterday, which is convenient, but also that tropical depression in January. The climate change forecast is for increasingly intense rainfall events. In January, for that whole month, we had over 400 mil of rain. We received just half of that in the space of 24 hours. So that's pretty intense. We've all had first-hand experience of how this rain can impact ourselves, our communities, and our island. So now that I've cleared the bush off my section, there's not much to stop all that rainwater from rushing down that slope at speed, and it's taking my topsoil with it. Soil erosion can be almost indiscernible, impossible to see. In one study, losing 1 mil of soil over a quarter-acre section can be equivalent to losing 2 tons of soil. So that bears repeating. You've got your quarter-acre section, you lose 1 mil of soil, you've actually lost 2 tons. What happens when all that surface water and that sediment hits the Vetiver hedgerows? If it were a concrete wall, it would block it like a dam, trap it there. The hedgerow doesn't stop the water, but it does a very effective job of slowing it down. These stiff stems absorb the shock of the water, spread it out, and those roots direct that water deep into the ground. All that beautiful rainwater banks into the ground. And the soil, the hedgerows filter out the sediment and keep it on my land. So looking at the big picture, if I didn't do something with all that surface water, it would contribute to flooding further down, impacting my neighbours, their properties, their crops, flooding the roads, the bridges, contributing to the general wear and tear of our island's infrastructure. The sediment would end up in the lagoon and ultimately affect our beautiful reef. It is socially, environmentally, and economically responsible for me to keep that soil and water on my land. But it also benefits me. Topsoil is expensive. And come those times of drought, my little veggie garden can access that groundwater. So this seems fairly self-evident. It's not rocket science. It's so simple that it doesn't even seem like engineering. But it is. It's bioengineering. Based on over 30 years of research and development, technical specifications, and experts, and implemented in over 100 countries to demonstrate its effectiveness. It works with nature and it's scalable. The same grass has been used for major infrastructure projects internationally, stabilising airport slopes balanced on the edge of alpine ridges, supporting massive embankments along highways, and huge hydro dams. Some slopes have been so steep that they've had to abseil down them to plant the grass. Compared with conventional engineering, the Vetiver system uses far less resources. It's more resilient. No concrete, no steel, no mining, no extracting, no manufacturing, no waste, no importing. A truly sustainable technology. So, how is the Vetiver system a Swiss Army knife? In addition to its ability to stabilise slopes, conserve water and soil, and protect our lagoon and reef, it can also increase soil fertility, prevent coastal erosion, purify contaminated water and soil, clean up mining sites, and treat septic waste. Vetiver, one tool, many